So this is the first Buddhist sutra that I came in contact with. In the Buddhist group that I used to practice with, they used to chant it. And I had no idea what it meant, but I liked it. And so some people asked what this is, and this is the mantra that goes along with this sutra. And I remember at the time thinking it meant something completely different to how I see it now. So I shall read it to you. This is the translation by Sangharakshita, who was the leader of the group that I studied with. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all 5 skandhas and surrendered the bounds that caused him suffering. Hear then, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is only emptiness, emptiness only form. Feeling, thought and choice, consciousness itself are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They're not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought or choice, nor is there consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no colour, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, not even the act of sensing, no ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them. Nor is there pain or cause of pain, or cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain, not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatsoever but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great dharani, the radiant pearless mantra, the prajna paramatta, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. And the mantra goes, Gate Gate Paragati Parasmagati Bodhiswaha. I maybe didn't say her name correctly at the end. I had absolutely no idea what that meant when I first came across it, but I just loved it. I just loved the sound of it. And I loved chanting it. So it tends to be in Buddhism that they say there's something prior to consciousness and prior to the I am. I'm sure you've heard it before talked about. I think Nisargadatta Maharaj speaks like this as well in latter talks. So what they would say that's prior to the consciousness and the I am is nothing or emptiness or void. And this creates lots of images in our mind as to what it is. We imagine like a big black hole that we're going to fall into, or we imagine nothing. But that's not it, because that's already something. As soon as you imagine anything when we say these words, then that's not it. So right now, this experience is made up of two things. It's empty, it's nothing, it's not a thing, and it's everything, it's happening. And you could say that everything is nothing, and nothing is everything. This is very complex for the mind, because you can't imagine what nothing is. So when I say nothing, then you will interpret that on a human level, dependent on your conditioning and your neural pathways in your brain. But any way in which you interpret it isn't correct, because it isn't anything. So nothing is already an idea. So maybe you could say mystery. This unknown, unseeable, unspeakable, unfindable force is creating all of this, and that unknown is found in all things. This is very complex, this part of speaking and teaching. When I first had this awakening and this shift, this was all I wanted to speak about, and still I love speaking about it. But it's very hard to communicate, because that can have very little meaning when you express that in words. But it's beautiful. So right now, everything that's appearing is made of not a thing. And that not a thing is what we would call God, or mystery, the intelligent force which creates this universe. It's not found. You cannot find it, yet in everything equally. This to me is absolute unconditioned love. It is found in everything equally, in everything. You will never be able to grab hold of it, because what could be more the divine? What could be more that intelligent force, that mysterious force that's creating this? When it's found in everything, how could you grab more of it? So everywhere you go, everything you do, every beautiful experience and traumatic experience, everything that happens is that, no matter what. Everything you do, everything you've done, everything you're going to do is that creative force. And that creative force that you're seeking for, that you're looking to understand, is your essence. It's found right here in this. The emptiness that I speak of is here. This is empty and full simultaneously, and it's appearing from nothing. Does this actually appear from something? Is my words appearing from something right here? Not in time. In time you can say Lisa's speaking and I like it, I don't like it, I understand it, I don't. But right here, do my words appear from anything that you can find right here? Beyond your thinking, beyond your knowledge, beyond you, just here. Where are these sounds appearing from? Where is this room appearing from? Where is this appearing from? This is where heaven is. This is heaven. As this begins to be seen, this is the freedom. Right here, there is no death, there is no birth, there is no suffering. There is only here. This alive presence that's no thing and everything simultaneously. It's so immediate. It's what's creating and it's who you are. You are that creative force. Not on the human level. On the human level, you interpret it into your thoughts, your ideas, your traumas, your past experiences, what you have and haven't got. Everything you seek, everything you look for is here, in this, in what's actually happening, which is what you've always had. You've always had what's happening. It never left you. Surrender to this on the human level, and you will find everything you look for. Forget about success. Forget about planning the future. You can plan it to an extent, but forget about holding on to that. You won't find the freedom. Your freedom is here. Here. And this is empty and full. Right here. Where does this come from? Here. Is this coming from a place? Are these sounds coming from a place? Are these ideas coming from a place? When I had this shift, I don't know what to call it, because for some people it's not really a shift, but it's ultimately not really a shift. But for some people it can seem to happen gradually through time, this realization, and for some people it can be a sudden thing. Ultimately it's always sudden because you've only got here, so it's always instantaneous. But in the timeline, it's hard to put into words because it's not really anybody's shift, but it seems as if it is. So when this happened, one of the first things I came across, I was in, I'd had many awakenings before, but this was just so strong and was so obvious. Well, not really obvious for someone, but just so immediate. Everything was immediate. Everything was home. And the first, actually I don't know if it was the first, but in that day when that shift happened, I came across a dog that was dying on the street. So in Bali, there's often mangy dogs or ill dogs, and this was one of my sensitivities, was animals, looking after the animals. And the dog was dying and obviously in pain. And when dogs are ill, they just curl up and they just remove themselves. And its hair was falling out. It really looked a sorry sight. But when I came across it, I saw it differently. Before, I had imagined my own fear into that dog. So I had imagined its abandonment and that it was dying alone by itself. And I felt sorry for it, that it would feel alone, that it would feel abandoned, and it would be afraid of its death, and it would be afraid of what's happening to it. But suddenly I saw it differently. I saw that the dog was dying in itself, and it was held and supported in love in itself. It wasn't dying in time. It's only the humans that die in time, that die with the idea that they're getting kicked out of something or abandoned from something. It was dying in freedom because it was dying right here. And right here, it was totally supported in itself. It wasn't alone, it wasn't abandoned, it was in the hands of itself, of the divine. of God, and that it wasn't suffering. It was love in something that to me was so traumatic because of me, because of the timeline in the past, because of the way I saw it. I'm not saying that humans don't die suffering. When they're identified, they do die suffering because they believe they're being kicked out of life. They believe that life is suddenly ejecting them and rejecting them, and that life will carry on existing without it, and it's no longer to play at the party. It's abandoned, it's total and utter abandonment, where the dog doesn't have the ability to think in time. So it dies in absolute peace, even with the pain, the physical pain. The physical pain isn't handled by the dog, it's handled by everything. It's handled by life. It's not the dog's responsibility to die. It's not the dog's responsibility to stay alive or to be safe. If this talk is confusing you, forget it, and just begin to zoom in on my energy, on the sound of my voice in this instant. Because understanding this talk, it's appropriate to understand it at some level, but the most important thing is to resonate with what's happening right now. Because right now you are yourself, which is that emptiness and fullness. Right here. This is absolute love. This is what you always have. And you can seek for this in time. You could try to get this in time. You can try and get it in practice or meditation, but you won't get it in time because you'll still be here. It's not yours to own. It's your essence. It's what's here. You can run around the globe looking for it. You can do a marathon looking for it. You can earn billions and billions of dollars, and it's here the whole time. The truth is your essence. It never left you. It's that which experiences, and that which experiences is empty and full simultaneously. It's all things and no thing. The mind says, I'm hearing in time, I'm hearing as an object. I'm sitting listening to Lisa, and there is time and there is space. I arrived in this room, I'm sitting looking at Lisa, and it gives the feeling of that. But is that true right here? Do you find that right here? That story you're telling yourself? Or do you find what's happening? It's not even you find what's happening. There is simply what's happening. And thoughts arise, urges arise, wants arise, ideas arise, but they're right here. They arise from this. This is all there is. This. This is an absolute collapsing back to what is. The sound of the wind, the bottom on the seat, the sound of the others in the room. The bird, your feet on the floor. You don't need to understand this. You are this. When did you ever have something else but this? When was it yesterday? When is it tomorrow? Or do you only ever have this moment, now? What's happening? Do you ever own the past or the future? Or do you have imaginings of the past and the future? Do you ever own that world that you imagine to exist outside of this? England, Holland, Germany, France, Portugal, New York, Norway, Sweden, Russia. Holland, Italy. Did I say England? England. Spain. Oh no, we're in Spain. No, forget that. Your mind imagines that it exists, but do you ever have that? Or is this what you have? In every moment, it's this. You imagine that there was this last moment where you were in your home country, then you came here and you're in this new moment. But the whole time you always had the moment, what's happening, and the part and images and things and rooms and sceneries come and go in that. But always it's the continuous, timeless moment. Always. What's happening? Everything else comes and goes. You come and go. Your image of you comes and goes. This never comes and goes. But our shrine on the human level is often found in time. But our shrine is what's happening. Our God is what's happening. That's all we have. But we're insistent there is this other time. There could be a better time. We've had a bad time, or we're going to a good time. Whereas we've never had time. We've had what's happening, which is timeless. There has only ever been this moment, one endless moment. And you can trace this moment right back to the beginning of everything. This one timeless, still, present moment. And in that arose the dinosaurs, the Big Bang, if there was a Big Bang, the Neanderthals, I always struggle with that word, Neanderthals, the mammoths. I'd love to meet a mammoth. your grandparents, your great-grandparents. And in this moment, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren will exist. And that's the connection. It's always this one timeless moment. Your mind imagines it wrong. Your mind imagines that the moment exists with the body, and the body's moving in time. The body comes and goes in this moment. This moment is eternal. This moment is infinite. Come back to your experience and that will be seen. This moment isn't containable. This moment doesn't belong to you. You belong to this moment. You belong to what's happening. It's the same with distance. In this moment, where is your end? Where do you end? Where is this space that we're so convinced of in science? In this actual moment, where is your ending, the space in between, and my beginning? Where does that exist? In your imagination. That's not what's actually happening. That's an idea. It's an idea that there is space. We made it up. We made that idea up. Your actual experience in this very instant is spacelessness, is without space. There's no distance between you and me. Where is that distance? Where does your looking end and I begin? Where does your hearing end and my sound begin? Right here. In this moment, what is your experience? If the mind is trying to look for this, it will miss it. It's here. The mind appears in it. Notice that if I speak absolutely, on the absolute level, I'm not addressing the person at all. Notice what that does in you. Like if the person's not addressed, what happens? You have to come forward. So notice if if I'm not telling you on the human level what to do, that can create a lot of discomfort. Because on the human level, the person can feel uncomfortable because it's looking for a better place than what's happening. And when I speak, it will say, okay, I'm not there. I'm trying to get there. She knows it and I don't, and I'm never going to get there. It might say things like that, and there's discomfort that arises in the body. So then the mind tries even harder to arrive at a place. And it can't arrive at a place. It just encourages more thinking, more imagining of something else. It's very interesting what's happening in the room, because the more and more I've spoken absolutely, the more uncomfortable the room's got. So notice what happens in you. I presume, just from working with people a lot, that what began to happen as I spoke absolutely is you began to feel hopeless, trapped. Like you can't make it. That's uncomfortable, right? To feel that. I presume not everybody, but that's what's happening in a lot of cases. It might be that I'm projecting that onto you, but I could just see some people like, ooh. So it's interesting that that's what arises. When this moment, when the absolute is spoken about, the person feels helpless or hopeless, like it can't make it. Because it's true, you can't make it. You're already here. You can't arrive in time. But it's your brain that's interpreting that as disempowering. It's not actually disempowering, but your brain interprets it as disempowering. And then you feel disempowered and helpless and meaningless. And that hopeless feeling arises. That's not the actual reality of what's being said. What the reality of what's being said is this, 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 this. Don't believe the mind. Don't believe the thinking. So I'm going to help you a little on the human level. But as this talk is about this is it, I'm reluctant to go to the human, but I'll just help you a little bit on the human level. So if you are having negative thoughts arising, go to the opposite. So if you're thinking you can't do it, and that you're not going to make it, and that will never happen to you, go to that feeling in your chakra system. Notice where the feeling is, and then tell yourself you can make it, you will be free, and that you are allowed to get what you want. And that you are worthy. You are worthy of this. just now, just this. You can give the rest away. Forget about it. Forget about your life just now. Your problems just for now. Just for this. What you need to do, what you should do. You can take it, you can pick it back up tomorrow if you like. But just now, you can forget about it all. I give you absolute permission. And I give you absolute permission to have exactly what you want. I give you everything, because you already are that. You already are. So you can begin to stretch and move. It's the end of the talk now.